Hello, fellow classmates. I am Matt Dutton, and I am giving you a presentation on Blitzkrieg right now. This is the textbook Smackdown, and you are listening to Matt Dutton and John Bieber. Sadly, John is out right now because our time constraints did not allow us to record this together. So, you're stuck with me. Let's get started. So, first off, we're starting with what the textbook told us. The textbook describes Blitzkrieg describes it as being the Lightning War, which is literally like an English Anglo-Saxon translation. It basically entails a fast invasion, fast, strong tanks, meaning very fast, mobile tanks with heavy artillery and big guns. Everyone's trying to attack one point at a specific time and bring as much firepower as possible. This also incorporates heavy use of the Luftwaffe, or the German Air Force, and air superiority was used to attack specific points without actually endangering that many people. If you only send one plane in to destroy a specific target, it's better than sending an entire corps in to take over that target. In the examples of it working in World War II, you see it took only several weeks to take over France. It took a couple days, about a week or so, to take over Czechoslovakia, and it really was able to catch people off guard because you really couldn't react to the amount of firepower the Germans were able to bring at a certain period of time. So comparing the textbook to online research that me and John were able to do, Blitzkrieg, in its literal translation, is Lightning War, while it also has another meaning called Battle of Annihilation, which is another long German word, but they both basically mean the same thing. Now, in an overall sense, online research would say that Blitzkrieg was designed to take strategic points in a battle as quickly as possible. Now, whether that be a railway, whether that be factories, or strong defensive positions that the enemy hasn't occupied yet, it really varied, but it was points on a map that the generals were like, we need to take this for success to be ensured. Now, usually Blitzkrieg, with how all these mechanized infantry and very fast-moving infantry, it was based off of idea that if you outmaneuver the enemy and get to the important positions first, you are going to win. Now, this is generally right. If you set yourself up in a position to win, and where your soldiers are going to fight to their maximum ability, or catch people off guard, you're going to have the upper hand in battle, usually. And this is why Hitler and his generals were so successful early in the war. Now, looking at key components of why Blitzkrieg worked, we'll first look at the tanks. Germans used three major types of models, although there was many theoretical tanks that they designed that never really came into fashion, because the Panzer, the Panther, and the Tiger were extremely technologically advanced. They were superior in quality to the American, Russian, British. Everyone's tanks were not even close to what the Germans could pull off. The very bad thing about that is that they couldn't produce a lot of them. Now, while the Russians could produce millions of T-34s late in the war, Germans could only produce thousands of Tigers, Panthers, and Panzers, and they would simply get outnumbered. But it worked initially because they were so damn good. They were faster, stronger, and you look at the size of the cannon. It's literally the Tiger Tiger had a German artillery piece literally just mounted to wheels. It's the 88K. It's like 88 millimeter round, which is diameter, which is just massive for the time. Comparing it to modern tanks today, it's not that big. But essentially, these would be used with infantry usually sitting on the tank to be transported, and then when they get to the field, the infantry will spread out, cover the tank, make sure they're not getting shot at by anti-tank missiles and everything, and they would essentially take over towns as important positions. And really having a thick, heavy armored, turret with you really helps when you want to blow up a building. I mean, explosives plus building equals crumble. So I think the Germans knew what they were doing with that. Oh, so Everybody talking about how World War II was so bad and everything. I think everybody has to be cheered up for a little slide. Just a little quick puppy break, you know. Enjoy the puppy over here, over there, and over there, and yeah, so cute. So next is planes, which is another essential part of Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg used heavy air force to pinpoint what they were going pinpoint uh, any strategic thing that needed to be blown up without that was inaccessible by land infantry. So here's a video of a Stuka dive bomber. Now you see there the Stuka dive bomber and the effectiveness of being able to have a plane, have a bomb attached to a plane, and the plane to soar over the target, then dive at a certain angle, so where it releases the bomb, it hits where exactly where it wants it. This is was heavily used in naval combat, also in regular on land situations, because you can pinpoint where that bomb's going to be instead of dropping a bomb from tens of thousands of feet, hoping you're going to hit it. It's a lot easier to deliver that payload from a dive bomber, and that's something that the Germans were very ahead of their time with, was with the Stuka dive bomber. And it allowed them to effectively hit targets with precision and firepower. So, what were they going to be aiming at? They were going to look at bridges. So, if you're having launching an affront on maybe the northern side, the northern border of some country, and there's an essential bridge that connects over a river from the Midlands to the northern. If you take out that bridge, the enemy army is not going to be able to move as effectively as they would have. So, like transportation, they would definitely attack transportation, such as railways and bridges. Factories are a huge thing too. You know, you cripple a country's ability to produce war materials, and you essentially take them out of the fight without having to endanger that many people of your own. Um, and it's shock value. It's that's what Blitzkrieg really is. It's a shock value, and we're going to hit you as hard as we can to take you out of the fight before you even have a chance to make a proper response. Now we look at what the common soldier would be armed with in the Wehrmacht. Um, Now, for short range engagements, you might have the MP40. You'll see that on the right, in the mid right of this picture. That's the MP40. It's a descendant of actually the first submachine gun developed by the Germans in World War One. Also, you have the pistol, the Walther P38. Uh, Kind of interesting fact is that the pistols back in these days were actually like a sign of status in the German military. Like it was kind of like swords back in the day. How swords would recognize your rank. Pistols were this in the Nazi armies. Mid-range, you'd use a Kar 98K. It's a bolt-action rifle, pretty accurate. I don't. That's under you. That's right above the pistols. That long rifle. The MG34 is the weapon on the top. That is the most widely used machine gun. There was another one developed, the MG42, which was better in a lot of ways, but it was in 1942, and Blitzkrieg really wasn't in its heyday back then. I mean, that portion of the war. There's also the Gewehr with several models. It was the common German repeating rifle. That's the one above the Kar 98K, right next to that MP40. There's also, you see in this photo, a Sturmgewehr 44, which is the first assault rifle. You might think it looks like an AK, but really the AK looks like the Sturmgewehr. And then for long range, such as sniping, you use a scoped Kar 98K. All these weapons were very, very ahead of their times. Germans invented the submachine gun. They invented the assault rifle. They were masters at the machine gun for this period of time. They were very, very technologically advanced military-wise, which allowed them to not only have a superior tactic, but have the weaponry to back it up. So, taking all this into consideration, we give the textbook a B. We do this because the textbook does leave out a lot of information. I mean, like I said at the beginning, textbooks aren't designed to be very in-depth. They're supposed to give you a quick burst of knowledge that you might not know about this, and it's like cool. It's like, oh, I know a little fact about Blitzkrieg. But it's going to leave out some stuff that you're not going to remember, usually because people generally aren't going to be experts at everything, so you're probably going to, that's why textbooks don't go into detail so much. They just want you to know the basic facts, which are easy to remember, not the details. So the textbook for an information source is a B, but as for a textbook grade, it's an A because it did what a textbook's job is to do, which is to give the most basic information on the subject. Now, was it biased at all? I wouldn't say so. It would just seem pretty monotonic. There's no negative connotations with any of the words they used regarding Nazi Germany. They respected Blitzkrieg for the tactic that it was, and that it was very effective. It didn't really have much like, oh, it's a Nazi tactic. It's not that good. Duh. What I learned from online research that I didn't know already, or that the textbook didn't really say, was that Blitzkrieg was also associated with the name Battle of Annihilation. That was quite interesting to me. Um, Besides that, not much. Also, actually, one more thing. What was interesting that Hitler, early in the war, Blitzkrieg, he gave the power to the generals to make on-the-go decisions to achieve victory. Now, this is very important that people might not understand or might not want to know, but for a general to have the freedom to like see the battle, know the circumstances, and therefore make quick decisions off that gives a huge advantage to him because he doesn't have to go to a superior officer and say, "Hey, I want to do this. Can I do this?" If you can make quick decisions and have competent leaders making those decisions, you're going to be victorious, especially when you're already in a position where you're already ahead because you have the surprise factor, or you have superior air superiority, or you have tank superiority, or you just have better guns. That's why the Germans were so damn effective early on. Quick on-the-go decisions, capturing points they wanted to, taking people out of the fight before they really had a chance to respond, and once they responded to that one first attack, you're going to have a second attack where they used to be. These ideas are all culminating in such a perfect tactic that really coincides with what a lot of military geniuses of the past couple thousand years have been saying, basically going back to Sun Tzu's Art of War, that you attack where the enemy's weak for them to react to you, and then you're already at advantage because you are settled in, you know your terrain better, therefore you will be victorious. So in total, I hope you learned a lot about Blitzkrieg. I'm sure you're not going to remember most of this, but I think that's why textbooks are great, because most people don't have the mind to remember all these things like someone like me might be able to. So, really, if you want to learn the basics, go back to the first slide, read up what we said there, and know a little bit more about Blitzkrieg.